Hey everybody, I just wanted to give a quick video here to show you how to make these cutting boards. And I've had a few questions about how I do it and what the process is and the type of materials that we use. So I want to give a quick video for you so you can see what's going on behind the scenes here before they end up in your kitchen. Okay, so to begin with, we got several different kinds of wood here. Here on this side here, we got your maple. That was bought directly from the store like this. It has been sanded down and planed on 4 different sides, so they call it S4S. But you can buy it just like that, which is a lot less mill work required. The next option is this board here and this one next to it are the same. They are both soft maple, but these are in the rough form, so they have been sanded. They've actually been ran through a planer, I think, at least once before they came, or looks like actually just rough sawn. But either way, we're going to put that through the planer. I did square up one edge of it so you can see the difference there between the face and the edge, the smoothness of that. After that, we have another maple board there that's been planed down that used to look like this, that we've milled down to that. Same is true with the different varieties of wood we have. For example, this guy here is Paddock. You can see it's got a very, very pretty red hue to it. And this is walnut. So in its rough form, you can even see the saw marks from the sawmill still. But we're going to run this through our planer and our drum sander and maybe our joiner, but I think we're doing edge grain, so we shouldn't need to do that if we get good clean cuts from our table saw here. So let me show you the process on how that works. Can't see that through the dirt and everything that was originally on it, but this has a figure to it, and you can see how that thing just changes color when you shift it back and forth. It's a beautiful piece of wood, and that really comes from the branches and how everything kind of turns gnarly when you get different angles on the branches, and it turns and makes the grain do funny things. So you get kind of this beautiful grain. Now the downside of that is when you shove it through a planer, if you're taking some off, because of all the different directions, the planer is designed to really kind of go and take off the grain in one direction on the face. But because this is figured and all of the grain has churned and swirled, it's all different directions. And so that ends up with some tear out, and you can kind of see that there in the video here. So one of the ways we can get past that is by passing it through a drum sander that, instead of chipping out and taking the face off, we can actually use the sander on it to kind of just grind it down, and it doesn't really chunk it out that way. So we're going to do that. So before I get it onto that table saw, right, I got this thing through the planer, the drum sander, to make it nice and flat on the surfaces. But we still have our edges here that are obviously not completely square, and we're going to have an issue with that when we run it through the table saw. That if we have a gap in here, you can see that that's kind of uneven. I'm not sure if you can see that in the video very well or not, but in order to straighten that out, we need to run it through our joiner here. Next, we're going to rip our boards here down to 1 1/8 inch, and we'll start stacking them all together to start lining them up to make our board. So now we've got several pieces here cut. They're all here at the same height, so they're a little bit thicker. And that way we can plane them down and make it smooth. You want to kind of start laying out your pattern on how you're looking to make your board look. I kind of decided to go with something a little similar to this. Maybe put a end cap on the end of this here. See where that lands us. See if we like that design. Something kind of like that. And of course we're going to end up cutting the edges off here to squaring the whole thing up. You got to kind of determine your width. I typically do somewhere just shy of 11 or just shy of 12 inches, so I like to be about 11 inches or so, at least wide and long. We should be somewhere around 15. So you can see here we've got roughly 16 inches on the shortest boards, which allows me about a half an inch to cut off to square if I need, if there's any cracks or anything along the ends here, just to try to square it up and make it look the right shape and dimension for a standard cutting board. So next thing I'm going to show you is that this is a type of glue that I like to use. It's Titebond 3. This is actually deemed to be food safe, so that's why we use this on cutting boards. Waterproof, does a good job, it dries quickly, it holds a good bond, so that's what we're going to use here today. The other thing is I like to use this silicone roller just because it makes everything a little bit easier. You get a nice even coat on each one of the pieces. I just bought this thing online. It's like $6 or something on Amazon. So these two things are what I use to glue it all up. Okay, so this is my setup here for the board. Now that I kind of have this thing squared up on the edges and ran through the planer, what I do is I kind of just build this jig around it. So all these boards are kind of tucked in tight against it. I use a spacer in between here so that it's 3/4 of an inch away, because I know this is about 1.5 inches to the edge of that. And so that gets me about 3/4 of an inch in all the way around for my juice groove, and we'll see how that goes. This is always the part that makes me a little nervous because it's very easy to mess this up. So we're going to see how this goes this time. Okay, so here's our finished board with it's been sanded down, and we have our groove all the way through this. And so the kind of last piece of this is trying to get the oil onto it. Watch this thing come alive. This is my favorite part. Try to just work it all into all of the grooves and let the oil soak in and totally change the color of this piece. Brings out the red paddock very well. Much brighter contrast with the walnut and the maple. So here is the final product, all sanded down and oiled up and ready to go. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions about the process or if I left something out, please feel free to leave a question or comment below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.